How's it going, everybody? This is Matt Higgins from the Nighttime Podcast. I'm going to make a series of videos that are short in nature, something I can post about 10 minutes or under. That way everybody can hear my opinion, whether you want to or not, and I can get them on TikTok. And it won't hold too much of your attention for too long. That way, hopefully, you'll give them a listen. Because I think I do have some opinions that uh, are pretty valid. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong all the time, because that's a matter of perception. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. That doesn't mean that your opinion is right just because you have one. And I recognize that. But I think there's a large portion of the population that's being underrepresented right now. And it's weird that probably the bulk of the population is being underrepresented, because the fringe on each side gets all the attention because they're the loudest and they're also the most fucking insane. So I'm going to cover some, it'll be some hot takes on some topics. You'll either like them or you won't, but hopefully you'll give them a listen and maybe you'll think about it, and maybe all of us together can create some kind of change, or at least change the narrative on what's in the news, and get people to thinking that we need to come together more than ever. Now, in the spirit of me preaching us coming together, I'm going to say some things. I want to tell you ahead of time. I'm going to say some things that you probably won't like, because it doesn't go exactly with how you feel or think. But it doesn't mean I'm wrong just because you don't like it. And I'm not saying I'm right, but we need to start showing some ability to exhibit some empathy, experience some empathy for other people, and perhaps that will allow us a better understanding of the other side of the argument. Okay, because you cannot be a good person without being able to see both sides of a situation. And one of my gifts, which are few and far between, is I have the ability to see both sides of an argument. And if I so choose, I can make good cases for either side of an argument, no matter how I feel personally. And the reason I take on those exercises with myself is it allows me a better understanding of how other people think and feel, so that I can better understand them and maybe be able to approach them in a more accurate and more productive way, so to speak, so that maybe we can both have an adult conversation, and while we may disagree on some of the peripherals of the issue, that maybe we can come together and have an agreement on the core value that we're trying to get at, and that maybe if we find out we have more in common than we do, if we find out that we have more in common on the issue than we think, maybe it'll allow people to better work together. Okay, so one of the topics that always pisses me off, and it's always in the news, whether it's manufactured or it's a real situation, is racism. Now, I I understand why racism exists, because it was an institution created by people back in the day who didn't fucking know any better. And it was simply a thing that was created out of a need to feel better about somebody, a need to put yourself above somebody else, and a way to separate the social classes. And in large part, it manifested during slavery, but by no means is slavery the garden where racism was born. I mean, racism in one form or another has survived since man first existed, because for some reason there's always this innate need to separate ourselves in one way or another so that we can either feel better about ourselves or make somebody else feel worse, and put ourselves above. And racism is probably the shittiest version of that. Now, the only reason that it still exists in its in this form, our need to be better than somebody else or feel better about ourselves by putting somebody else down, it's because it's taught. Okay, it's taught. It's either taught at home by the parents who are too stubborn or too stupid to change, or it's taught by our peers or people in public. I don't think anybody can agree that that could disagree that if we left ourselves alone without anybody preaching to us, like if you threw a bunch of kids on an island, I've never read Lord of the Flies. I understand the basic concept of it, but I think that, in a vacuum, if we were to raise a bunch of kids without any outside influence on racism, it wouldn't exist. Racism wouldn't exist. Yes, there would probably still be, classes of people. We would find a way to divide ourselves, but racism right now, it's stupid. If you think that black people are all bad and are inferior, there's nothing logical, and there's no data to support that. And I understand logic is a big leap for some people who believe in racism, because if you are a racist, chances are you've got some other mental issues going on as well. But it serves no purpose anymore. Whatever you think about it, racism does not need to happen. It's not a provable. It's not a provably correct way of thinking. Black people are not better than whites. Whites are not better than blacks. No race is better than anybody else. And we need to start breeding it out of our kids. Secondly, we need people in the spotlight, in the public, who have a voice, to shut the fuck up about it. And what I mean by that is stop perpetuating racism by throwing out your little dog whistles and your subtle jabs, your passive aggressive way of talking about races that are different than yours. And white people, are one of the worst at it, but we're not the only ones. White people are racist against blacks, Mexicans, Asians, and everybody else, but every other nationality also suffers from it in one way or another. And we need to find a way to combat that. We need to find a way to get rid of it. And I don't know how to do it, but what I can tell you is, if you are caught being racist in public, I am one of those people that definitely believes, yes, you should get ostracized for it. If you're saying some really outlandish shit about a certain group of people and you're employed by a business and they get wind of it, they have every right to do whatever they want to with you as far as firing you, disciplining you, because, like it or not, people are going to find out what you do for a living, and then they're going to say that you're a reflection of the company, and the company has to protect itself. So I will just say this, if you're caught being racist, you get what you deserve. Whether you get pounded, physically, verbally, whatever, you had it coming. All right. Now I'll expand more on this in another video. So That's all I got for that. Have a good day.